Okay, so welcome to this new episode of Meet the Goddess. I'm Matilda, I'm your host, and today I am absolutely excited to introduce to you Julie Gaia. And today she's connecting with us from Ontario, Canada. Julie is the founder of Gaia's Hive, where she guides her students in basket weaving, plant spirit, herbalism, and caring for the land. Every year she runs outdoor, hands-on classes on folk herbalism and relationship with spirit. And her calling is to connect people with their wild roots and their inner nature. And welcome, Julie.
Hi, good morning.
Welcome.
Or afternoon, where you are, yeah. I have a little piece of spruce resin here. So I just collect it in a little plastic container because once you put it in, it never comes out. With an old spoon. And this is collected from the Norway spruce trees. So I take a little piece and I'm going to place it. I'll show you. I have a little pan here and I have some embers here from my wood stove, and I just place it on top and just to bring all that spruce medicine into my home and in our time together. So I want to thank the spirits of the land that I'm on today for holding me and sharing the space with you, and give thanks to the spirit of the beautiful Norway spruce tree for sharing its medicine with us today. And I want to give thanks to the First Peoples of the land that I'm on here in Southern Ontario. And may all we do today and always benefit the next 7 generations. So thank you.
Yeah. Yes, thank you. What a gorgeous way to start and set the tone. And it's a beautiful way for everyone to actually just bring that sacred medicine of the plants within their homes, like being able to, because you can really create those incense with anything, like with any dry herbs or anything that you feel called to use respectfully from the nature around you. So that is wonderful.
Definitely. So yeah, I encourage anybody listening today, if they have the pine or spruce trees near their homes, to go visit them and to go say hello.
Yes. So to start, I would love to hear from you how you came to connect with the herbs and the earth around you and the land. How did that come about in your life?
Okay, thank you for asking. Great question. So here in my home, I'm living on the land where I was born and raised. And my great-grandparents came from the Netherlands to Argentina, to the land where I live. So I grew up on this land, and I grew up with my mom in the garden. So always learning in the garden with my mom. She taught me how to grow food and harvest mint for tea and prepare food and preserve food. So I feel really grateful to my mother and her teachings. And the biggest connection when I started to work with plants is when I lived in Saskatchewan. When I was a young person, I was in school in Saskatchewan and I developed pneumonia. I got quite sick, and I had gotten pneumonia many times throughout my life. And my mom would take me to the doctor and they would give me pharmaceutical to help, clean out my lungs, but I kept getting it. I would always keep getting pneumonia, such a lung thing, a grief. But my mom did the best she could with what she knew. But when I moved to Saskatchewan, I met a dorm mom. She was a lady in the building who was like a mom for all of us young girls. And she said to me, "Oh, do you know about naturopathic medicine?" And I said, "No, I don't know what that is." She said, "Well, you don't have to take the drugs to heal. You could go use plants." And I was like, "Oh, cool." So she said, "There's this naturopath in town," and one of my dorm mates, you could call her, she lent me her car, and I went to drive to Moose Jaw, Saskatchewan, and I met this naturopathic doctor, and they said with horehound, hyssop, and astragalus to drink 4 to 6 cups a day, and with a homeopathic remedy to heal my body and to change my diet. I was eating a lot of like pastries and processed things. I was not as conscious at that time, just eating whatever was available. And so I did this. It was the hardest thing I think I ever did. And to drink Whorehound, if you know what Whorehound, like Buner says it tastes like earwax. Like I think it's such a funny thing to think of. But the medicines, I found them. I met really interesting people on the journey of finding all those medicines. It was before like internet time. And they healed my body. My pneumonia went away. I never had pneumonia since. And those plants, like they completely healed my body. And it made me drink the most bitter thing I've ever tasted, but it cleaned me, you know? So I feel so grateful to those plants for helping me in my body. And then I bought a book, The Natural Healing of Plants, this thick book, like big book. I bought this book when I lived out there from the woman I met. She told me about it. And then the whole book had A to Z, all health problems. So everybody come to Julie's room and be like, oh, I have a migraine. I have menstrual cramps. I have this. What can we do? So we look in the book. And then that's how I started. So people would come all, you know, to look at this book with me, and we would try it and things would work. And I was like, wow, this is so cool. Like we could just use onions, or we could, you know, make this tea or do a massage or acupressure. So I was delighted to know that was, you know, a journey for me. And then I kept having gardens, working on farms all over the world, working with plant people in Central America, South America. And then I had my son. And yeah, lived in Hawaii, lived in the forest, so always directly outside with plants, and they continue to heal me. So I was like, wow, these plants are incredible. And that drew me to study with Sage Moray from the Gaia School in Putney, Vermont. So I drove to Vermont 12 hours, you know, one weekend a month for 12 months. And then I went to California as well with Pam Montgomery, who's from Danby, Vermont, and studied plant spirit medicine healing. So, and there's been so many teachers along the way, all the people, I thank them all, and especially Juliet DeBarkley-Levy, all of her books. And she's passed on now, but her spirit lives on through myself and her teachings and her dedication to do things naturally. So I absolutely love that. So, and I think utmost how I've got to where I've got is just living really closely with the land. So much love all around me everywhere, and how the plants, the relationship with them, like keeps my spirit lifted. So yeah, so much gratitude and thanks.
Oh, that is such a journey. It's so wonderful. And thank you for sharing it with us. And it brings me to like the bit of the topic of this conversation today, which is how important it is for urban people to have a deep connection, because when you're connected to the herbs, you're connected to the earth. And we sort of step into that amazing role of caretakers for the land that we have, rather than owners and users of the land. We're caring for it. And you spoke how you've had such experience always out, always in gardens, always with the plants, always. And I know that you teach that way too. You run courses that are hands-on, and I have been taught the same way, hands-on. And like there's such an importance to have that relationship with the plants. They have so many gifts. They're teachers in themselves. So yeah, like I'd love for you to speak to that, to that relationship, and how people can come closer to the plants, so to start developing that relationship.
Another great question. I love your questions. Yeah, so you see behind me in my kitchen, so this is an apothecary of plants, and I always like to share with people, like, I think maybe 2 plants that I have in the whole area don't come from this land, which are cacao and damiana, that are amazing, but everything else grows here. And it's all around me, and there's an abundance of medicine. And so if people are wanting to deepen their connection with the land and with the plants, it's as simple as this. So today I took tulsi, mint, and calendula, and I put them in a jar. So you have probably a jar in your house. You don't need anything fancy. And I just put, you know, a teaspoon of each herb. So the sacred basil, the tulsi, the sweet mint that grew by the creek where I grew up drinking the water when I was a young girl. And then the brilliant orange calendula blossoms. They're so pretty. And these 3 plants are plants that you can grow in your own garden or in a container or in a pot on your balcony, wherever you live. And to have, 3 simple plants that can be cultivated very easily. They're very easy to grow. You can save the seeds of the Tulsi and Calendula each year. And mint is, as you know, mint, if you know mint, it's like, wow, whoa, take over. So, but to have in a pot or in a spot where it can spread, those are 3 medicines that are very accessible and simple to grow. And for me each day, then I make a tea. I go, oh, which tea do I want today? And if you don't have herbs from the land yet, you can still, look into local farmers markets or look online or go just to the closest store and pick out some, plain herbs that you're like, oh, I'm really curious about you, And I find the more that we just take like the simple plants, not get complicated, that can grow here, we get to know the plant. So by me, say, picking these 3 plants that grew here in the soil that I sleep on. So these plants were underneath the same sun, the same stars, the same moon, the planets. They've been through all the seasons with me. Their seeds get saved and they sleep in my bedroom with me in the winter. And then each year we sow them again. And I sow them with such beautiful people that come and help in the gardens. And then we get to drink that medicine. So when we grow plants that are simple and you can save them, so it's essentially free once you learn the sustainable gift, you can take that plant medicine in daily or as often as you like. And then you can connect to the divine frequency of each plant. So to me, it's really, really simple. Sometimes in our world, we think, oh, the herbal medicine world is so complicated, or you have to have a specific degree or specialized education for many years. And there's definitely a place to go to school to learn about that and become a registered herbalist. But my focus is folk herbalism. So it's like a practical herbalism for everybody in their own kitchen. So for you, your children, your friends, family, your pets, there's so much medicine that you can grow right here. And when you go for a walk, like the spruce medicine, you can just say, oh, wow, the spruce tree, to sit with it, to bask in its beauty and just feel the energy in your body. So yeah, I feel like just spending time outside and starting to grow, even if it's just 2 or 3 medicines, that's it. Just focus on a few, and then you can start going down this beautiful road that's curvy and magical that you don't know where it's going to take you, but it's beyond beautiful.
Yeah, it is beautiful, and it's ever gifting, because each plant keeps giving each time. There's the approach of receiving the medicine that the plant gives, and of course herbs have their specific medicine for the body. But then, as you say, there's that divine essence within each plant, and there's so much that gets moved in all of our bodies, our energy bodies, our heart space, everything gets open each time that we connect with one of the plants. So that's a beautiful invitation for everyone to just start with something simple and small, even on a balcony, as you say, and just get to know them, even talking to them. I know it sounds, sometimes it sounds a bit crazy, but talking to them, they do really answer back. And yeah, connecting with the land and with the herbs also, for me, has been really key to feel empowered and feel in control of my temple, my body. And as you shared in your story, we're given drugs, we're given solutions that are always outside of ourselves and very much out of our control. We can't produce them, we can't access them unless we go through some procedures, where within this way you get the chance to know exactly what you're putting inside your body and know why you're doing it. Which I think now it's really, really vital for us to come to this knowledge and wisdom.
Yes, definitely. So yeah, every plant remembers. It's one of my favorite things to think about when I think of a plant. Like I will show you one here. This is so fun. Here we have calendula. You grow calendula where you are?
Yes, lots of.
Okay, so many varieties of calendula, and I love calendula. As you can see, this beautiful flower and just the brilliant orange discs. And this plant, and every single plant, I love to feel when I sit with them and look at them, even in the dried form. They're so beautiful to think this plant remembers its purpose. So when I make this plant and put it in my tea, it knows what it's doing. And it's going to go into my body and then after, through the day, it's going to go back into the earth. And that whole cycle, it knows what it's doing, and it's clean and it's beautiful. So I just love it. And it's like these spinning orange discs of calendula. It's one of my favorite plant allies. But yeah, the plants remember much more than we do. Yeah, and they can help you remember. That's the key. So they help me remember. So if I remember to drink my plant medicines every day, even if I feel great today and no health complaints today, but just being like, oh, I want to connect with your energy, help restore my body, and as a preventative medicine. So yeah, they're so wise. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yes. Oh, calendula. I remember I'm from Italy originally, and where I grew up on my land there, like literally calendula covers entire fields. There's one specific time of the year where there's orange, and it's the variety that has the smaller flowers, but they're really bright orange, really. And I, as a kid, I didn't know what that was. I didn't know you could drink it in a tea or use it, but I just remembered how beautiful it was. And very often, what I've noticed here, maybe I don't know if that has been your experience with your students, is like a lot of people treat some incredible plants as weeds.
Oh, yeah.
And they get, like, calendula would be a weed, as well as our wonderful dandelion or nettles. And so they actually get taken out instead of known, and instead of engaging in a relationship with them.
Definitely. The plants right out your doorstep are often the best plants. So whether you're in the city, like even going to the park in Ontario here, we have a lot of snow covering the earth. But sleeping beneath the snow, there are many dandelions and nettles and clover and tree medicines. So wherever you go, you can still sit with those plants. And when that snow melts, to go to like the closest natural place near your home and just look. You can get a loop, like a tiny magnifying glass, and just explore and like, oh wow, so many medicines everywhere. And I find that the most potent medicines are the ones that are just outside my window.
Yes. Yeah, local, rather than going looking for a lot of stuff that sometimes sounds very fancy, but is from very far away, which sometimes that is the solution, but do not to forget that the solution can be just right outside our step. And one thing my teacher was saying all the time is that there's always a reason why in a certain season, all of a sudden, one plant takes over in your garden. It's like they're trying to tell you something. I don't know if you have found that. It's like all of a sudden there's perhaps a lot of dandelion, way more than the year before, or all of a sudden there is a lot of borage, and you notice that there's a deep relation with how you are actually feeling and what's growing.
Definitely, yeah. Goldenrod is definitely one of those plants here in the autumn with the brilliant yellow flowers, but some years it's like everywhere with the asters. And that medicine has so many purposes, but definitely to help clean the lungs and breathe. So with all the people with allergies, strengthening their immune system, cleaning out a cough, like that medicine is like, pick me, learn, like ask with respect and pick me and utilize, like take a little bit with you, and this will help you in the next month. So I find that the medicines often come just the season before you need it as well. So Yeah.
Mm.
It is such an more abundant medicine. Asters and the goldenrod is so abundant. You couldn't possibly, yeah. Imagine how much life there is in one tiny square foot, of these beautiful flower friends. Yeah.
Have you a way to connect with the herbs before harvesting them?
Yes, great question. And I've had excellent teachers with this question. And the best thing I could say to anybody, if you want to go pick a medicine, you want to pick, say dandelion greens, or you want to harvest some spruce resin or pine resin from a tree, to take some time. So if you're just alone, that's great. If you have children with you or a friend, that's great too. But to go and take at least 10 minutes before meeting, to go meet the plant. So say you want to harvest spruce resin to burn as an incense, I would say you've located a spruce tree. You're like, oh my goodness, I'm so excited to go, I saw like this spruce tree, I want to meet it, so go visit the tree and take that time to be quiet and be still, and tell the people that you're with, if you're with other people, like, I want to be quiet right now, and I want to connect with the tree. So right now, if I can imagine, and I'm closing my eyes and I'm sitting with this beautiful Norway spruce tree, to take a place on the ground to sit, or place my hands on the body of the tree and just breathe, just simply breathe and slow down my body. So we're not trying to turn off our minds per se, but just to like slow down into like the plant time. So trees and plants are in a really slow pace. As humans, we're like, yeah. And so when we like slow ourselves down and we're like sitting with those plants and sitting with, say, this beautiful spruce tree, and just like noticing in our body, like how we feel. Do we feel different than before we came to that tree? Do we feel the same? And just to sit and just feel, just to experience being beside this beautiful, intelligent, beautiful being. And then if you see a medicine that you want to pick, say, such as the spruce resin, to say to the tree, like, I would say, hi, I'm Julie Gaia. It's a pleasure to meet you. And today I would love to harvest some of this spruce resin. And is that okay with you? And asking consent. And the tree is going to give you a feeling like, yeah, take some, or it's going to be like, no. So it's listening to that inner voice. And sometimes I go to harvest something and it's like, no. I'm like, okay, cool. But then at least I've sat with it you can't feel that unless you sit for a little bit of time with the specific plant to know if it's the right thing to do. So when I sit with that tree and ask permission, and then I ask the tree as well, like, how do I harvest you today? Is it the right time today? Is there a right time of day? How can I do it with respect? And I have been taught to offer a type of tobacco. It's a Nicotiana rustica. It's a sacred tobacco that grows here on this land that moved up from the United States to this area. And it's a medicine of the first peoples of this land. So I grow that medicine each year and I dry it. I don't smoke it. I just collect it and give it as a gift to the plant that I'm picking. So if I want to harvest the spruce pitch, I will give the tobacco in my left hand, and I will hold it and I will pray with it and say why I'm harvesting this medicine, who it's for, and what I need to know. So then I can give that prayer to the tree. I give that. And sometimes if I don't have tobacco with me, then I will sing. So I will give a song that I have inside me, just improv. You can make up a song, or unless you know a specific song of that plant, anything, or a poem, but give something like that you cultivated and you have tended to and nourished. So by growing a plant, you can, with that tobacco especially, it's such a prayer plant. And I've been taught to sit with it and then to give it in that way with respect. So I say people give that offering, give that gift, and only take what you need. Only take a tiny bit. So if it's the first time harvesting, so like this spruce resin here, this container here, like that will last me for about a year. But there was like, I don't know, maybe 10 or 20 times that much in the area that I harvested, but I only harvest a little bit. So, and if it's your first time ever, just, a little piece, tuck it in a leaf or something and take it home and then see if you use it. see, what's your relationship to it? How does it feel? And then you can, if you love it, you can find more or grow, like, with the calendula or the mint, growing more so we can sustainably have more medicines. But it's all about slowing down. In a nutshell, it'd be like, slow down, listen, give a gift, ask yes or no, and then proceed with care and a great attention to love and detail.
Yeah, the slowing down part, it's beautiful because by getting to want to feel like we want to engage in a relationship with the herbs and with the earth, we get that bonus gift that is brings us to slow down to a rhythm that is not slow per se, but it's just way slower than what we're just being pushed towards, which is always do, move in some forward direction all the time. So that is like, I get asked very often by students, like, about, well, what should I meditate more? What should I do to just actually connect with one plant or get on that path of knowing even what's in your little garden, or even what's in a pot. Even if it's not a plant that you're ever going to use for medicine, you can start even with a plant that is just a beautiful flower that you're keeping there for now. If that's what you have, you can start with anything that is alive and is there available for you right now to connect with.
Definitely. Yeah. That's such great advice. Like the tulips here behind me, just having the tulips in my house and sitting with them. So if you don't have, a big forest beside you, just a house plant or the plant out your window, just start by saying like, hi, how's it going? And, if you slow down a little, get into plant speed, they'll be like, hey, how's it going? Nice to see you today, or did you know this? And you're like, oh, wow. So just by talking, not always harvesting, just being like, can I hang out with you? You look nice. You feel great. Yeah. It's like, okay, cool. Yeah. Bring your friends, Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I have my eldest daughter. She's 10 right now, and that's what she does. She spends incredible amounts of time on our little piece of land and talks to the plants. And she comes home with the most amazing messages and wisdom. It's mind blowing to just be listening to. And even when we're telling her something maybe that can be challenging, that's one way. She just goes out and talks to the plants and gets the answers, and she works it through with the plants. It's like they're allies on so many levels.
Definitely. That's beautiful that you can share that with your children, and for them to have that resource that will always be with them. And for everybody listening today to know that when life is like, or moments of, go, go outside or look out the window and ask and be with those plants, and they'll tell you things beyond your belief. And the children, I find the best because they haven't lost that natural capacity of literally embracing imagination. So I feel like my son in the background said, me. Yes, you too, love. Yeah. And to keep nourishing that. So in ourselves as adults, we have that inner child still in us, and it's so fun to work with plants and in a way where we get to play and use our imagination and talk to them and incorporate them into our daily lives as friends.
Yes. And as we're talking about children, I know you said it in your invocation at the beginning, your intention at the beginning is that what we're doing is for the next 7 generations. And that is so precious. It goes with only take what you need and take it respectfully. And yeah, the herbs really teach us to work that way, because if you harvest too much, then the following year you won't have that medicine there available. And yeah, that is so important. So yeah, I want to hear you on that because I know it's really dear to you.
definitely. I feel that, throughout my life, it's been a privilege to live really closely with the land. And I know not everybody has the opportunity to live on the land, so close to the forest. And that's why I started to open up my home in the classes and teachings. And there's many volunteer days or potlucks and free things as well. So it's accessible to everybody to come and be on the land. And when we have that direct relationship with the land, we see the direct effects. And so if you can imagine the space on the land I've been, it's about eight years now, but everything I drink, then eat, it comes out of my body and goes back into the earth here. Everything is composted, and all of our food waste as well. It's all composted and it gets put back into the soil again. So you're seeing the results of directly. And I feel that if I can slow down myself with the help of the plants and become more humble, that I can listen better. And when I make a choice to buy something or put something in my body, or think about a possible medicine, or think about a purchase or a trip, or something to do with my car or home, or all of the different things, to really think about, like, what is the best choice? What is going to affect my son, your children, everybody's children, and not just us humans, but what affects all the beings. So when I think what affects the next 7 generations, it's not just about us people, us humans. Humans are really cool, and we have a big purpose here on Earth, and it's important that we are here. It's important to continue to thrive and be here. But when I really think about those questions, I think about the water being alive. I think about what the water would think about me putting a specific medicine into my body, or what the water would think if I use a certain product to clean my house or clean my car with, for example. Like small little things like that affect everything. And it's like, what do the birds think? What do the birds think of all the bioagriculture, all the corn that's genetically modified that surrounds me? Is seeing all the animals eat that. It's not just us humans that are feeling what can happen. It's affecting all the animals in the ecosystem and the loss of diversity. So I feel like every little thing we can do, we can try our best. And I understand that sometimes we make, like driving a car is not so awesome. And, going on an airplane, or, choosing to eat some chips that are maybe not the best thing, once in a while. But I think, like, to try the best that we can each day, to make whole and conscious decisions, to really to live and breathe that. So that's my goal, so that my life can be an example, and to continue to give back. So it's always to give back more than I take, so that we can be healing the earth. So a friend recently told me that they looked at aerial photographs from Southern Ontario from like 30 years ago to now, and it looks much better now. So it's nice to think that, it was much more beautiful before that time period, and there was a lot of destruction. But I think that people are waking up now, and that the earth there's hope to grow our forests, to be more sustainable. We have the educational platforms to teach ourselves about very simple products and ways to treat our bodies and the earth and all beings. So,
yeah. Oh, that's lovely. That's so beautiful that it looks better, and that there has been an improvement. That is beautiful. And it does give hope. There's so much hope. I do feel that a lot. And the more people that hear this, it's a gift. It's a real gift. And it's wonderful to hear the example that you bring with all the different things, because I believe very often there can be a fear that this lifestyle that is more respectful towards the planet, towards the other animals, towards the people, towards everything in the ecosystem, it's too complicated. It requires time and too much knowledge, and people just don't they don't go for it more out of not knowing how to do it. But as you mentioned, it's an inner guidance that when you start even connecting with what happens to a plant in a pot, if it doesn't have water for a certain amount of time, or if the water that you put in is full of chemicals, how does it react? You can start noticing all the links between each action and choice that we make and how it reflects then onto everything. It's a powerful point.
Oh, definitely. And when you can spend time in the park or the forest or on the land, especially we have bluebirds, the beautiful small bluebird that were almost extinct here in Ontario because of DDT, and then that chemical got taken off the market in this area. It still happens in other parts of the world, sadly. But there's been a rehabilitation project for the bluebirds. So now I have bluebird boxes, and I saw 12 bluebirds the other day, coming back. And this bird is a small symbol that, people have done some terrible things to the earth, but we can change. I still believe there's hope to change. And seeing those bluebirds, that's, they're wonderful little, parts of our ecosystem. And they're so shy and beautiful, but that there is hope that we can make those choices. So it's like even seeing the symbol of the bluebird to me is hope and that change. And to anybody listening today as well, for in your home too, people say it's so complicated to clean your house naturally. I think like vinegar, baking soda, eco dish soap, you can do the whole house with that. And it's amazing. And all those things will go back to their natural form and into the earth and stay clean. So it is really simple, and it's even more economical and cost effective. So
yes. And it's interesting to notice what happens. We haven't had chemicals in the house for years. It's the ingredients you're just after mentioning. That's what cleans my house, my clothes, everything. And it's interesting to notice, if you give yourself a period where you don't actually go for the usual products, but you try the other ones, how like the benefits and how you start realizing how much the other products were actually affecting you. I think we don't notice when we're in the chain and when we're going with it all the time. But if you begin to take a step back, even just with one thing, and start with one thing, so start small, nothing too complex, you will then really feel the difference. There's so much talking about wanting always to boost the immune system and have more energy, and we just go push it to our body. But when we take away those chemical substances, there's so much natural energy that we get to access again.
And you can smell like what things really smell like. So, like it's, yeah, definitely.
Yes. What else wants to come through? You were mentioning, I think we've spoke a little bit already, but maybe something else wants to be added to it about plant spirit. And everything has a spirit. Everything has more than just the tangible part. And I believe it goes even beyond the talking. There's like an energy exchange that happens. And I would like to hear from you. How do you experience that? How does that come through for you?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I feel like I come from a Dutch, Germanic, Scandinavian background, and that's where my blood lineage, my ancestors come from. And I like to, when I go in the forest, and I have time by myself. So even if I have my son at home, I still take time each day, even if it's 20 minutes, sometimes longer, just to be alone and to sit with a tree or on the edge of a field or, by the stream or by a spring. And then when I sit there and I'm quiet, I remember, there's like a remembering in my bones and this flesh and in my body that I'm just a small part in all of this space. And when I start to feel that and breathe that and just like really focus and look in on the plants, then I feel their presence fill me. And sitting by the spring, for example, there's many springs all around my home with water coming up out of the earth. And when I sit beside there and I look at the plants around them, or like the robins are coming back now, getting ready for spring, and I just see all of that energy. And then even in the stone cairns that we built on the land, and just sitting with the stone and feeling them and acknowledging their presence, then it becomes part of me. And then they start speaking and connecting to the spirits of the plants, of the land, of the animals, all the elements. I find to sit alone with them and just to sit and listen, or light a candle or give a gift. But the most profound, it would be to sit with someone else. So to sit with a friend, or if your kids are interested, or a group of people, to sit on the land together to celebrate something. So if you have a beautiful, I'll say, oak tree near your home, to go with a few friends, say, let's bring some candles, let's bring some offerings, and to honor this being. Say thank you for being here. So I feel like when we really honor those beings, then all of a sudden there's a different energy. You feel like, wow, what happened? Like there's an extraordinary amount of beauty that comes through. So there's beautiful, very old oak trees near me, red oak. And we do this each year. We go and sit, all the students, we come together and we sit with these trees and we talk with them. We just explore the forest floor. We touch the body of the tree, and we're sitting there, and then we can feel the presence of it and the strength that being can share with us. And when we do that in a group, and then we can share as well, I think it's such a powerful tool to connect. So I strongly believe that the best way to connect with the plant spirits is to start doing it in our own personal practice with the people that we love, and then to find people around you, like-minded people that want to do that with you. So, and then together, and then have a space where you can have active listening and reflect your own experiences. So then you can share what you felt. So if you have a group of, say, 12 people, for example, where they're all sharing all these things, and there's so many threads and webs that will weave all across the circle. And then that plant is, is speaking in a way, and from its energy and life force. And I'll share a quick story. Do we have still time?
Oh,
yeah.
yes.
Okay.
Please.
Okay, great. So I often do like a secret plant journey. So make sure no one has any allergies. So we sit in a circle, many people, and then I make a big pot of tea. So it's always a plant from this land. So I ask which plant wants to go to this group, and the plant will always say, me, So I make a big tea. I strain the medicine out of it, so it's just liquid. And then we come together in a group. We open with a land acknowledgement. We open space properly, get people comfortable. And then I give everybody a cup of the tea. And everybody can sit with the tea. I like to rattle. I like to sing and honor the plants, and just create a space that just feels so good, so old, so ancient, and that we remember, because we've done this in almost all cultures with rattles and different frame drums. And to really sit with the medicine and feel it move into our bodies. And then afterwards, there's a space for each person to share in the circle with no crosstalks. Everybody gets to share. What was your experience? Where did you feel the medicine move in your body? Did it tell you anything? Do you have any idea what it is? Like, how can you honor this plant? All these questions. And then one time I did a plant journey, and everybody drank the medicine. And there was a man in the group from the Netherlands, from Holland, and he drank the tea, and he said, wow, it's really weird, Julie. Like I all of a sudden I was back in the Netherlands. He is living in Canada now. But he said, I was a child. I was a small child in my vision. I had this vision. So I said, really listen to the imagination. Don't stop whatever comes. Just let it come through. And he said, I was in the back of my home, and I was getting stung by this plant. This plant was stinging me. And he said the name in Dutch. He says, I don't know the name of this plant in English, but there's this plant, and it was stinging me. And it was, I just had this vision of this plant, and I thought it was really bizarre, and he just said, I thought it's weird that I thought of this plant. I haven't thought about that plant in like 40 years or 30 years. So I was like, oh, cool. Trying not to say anything. Everybody's sharing. And then at the end, I said, this is stinging nettle. Like, this is this is the plant that they're drinking. He said, what? I never thought you could drink it. I didn't know you could drink the plant. And I thought, wow, like what a beautiful expression of that plant to share itself in a safe space with honor and respect. And that man was able to feel that in his body. He remembered the plant talked to him. So I always think when people are like, oh, what's a bunch of woo woo, or, it's like, well, take time, slow it down in a ceremonious way that's respectful to connect with that plant and then share. And then it's like, wow, like how could somebody possibly know, like that it is, because the plant is a live being going into the body and then sharing itself with you. So I love that story because it always is like, look,
Yes.
Listen to that inner voice, that the inner voice is very wise.
Yes, and they're all connected also, because it's not like you're connecting just with one plant, but I mean under the ground, and there's this magic web that connects everything. So like the nettles from the Netherlands and the nettles from Canada were like, yeah, we met this guy before. Let's know that.
Oh yeah. And that's such a beautiful visual to visualize that, like cosmic web of like, I think I call it like the magic web of mycelium that we cannot see too. It's like this web of interconnected energy, like how it's all being connected on the threads that's on such a multi-dimensional, beautifully cosmic vibration, that these plants are all working together to unite us and to teach us if we're willing to listen.
Yeah, they're actually so happy when someone slows down to listen. It's like, yay, someone has stopped here with me. And I really love what you offered about just going out and celebrate, like a tree or anything that is growing nearby you. It's a really wonderful ways. Like it's even a way to make a day special. Like what we're doing today, we're just going out to celebrate this wonderful tree that is just there gifting us with her presence and her beauty. And
Definitely. Yes. Yeah, it's a beautiful accessible gift. So I feel like with folk herbalism and all that I strive to do is to always make sustainable practices that are accessible to everybody everywhere in a different way. So and it's all inside of every single person. It's hidden in there somewhere. Yes.
We sort of have spoken for about an hour. So is there anything else that you feel wants to come through before we close this up?
I want to say thank you for sharing the space with me. It's beautiful to connect with people around the world. A lot of my life I've spent traveling and working with plants, and I just think it's beautiful how the universe has connected us to share a love of the plants. And I thank you for doing what you're doing. And I want to say thank you today to all beings on this land and all beings around the earth for sharing their home with us. And my prayer is that we can live in harmony with all beings, and to choose it to when we have something going on in our body, emotionally, physically, mentally, to think about the plants first. So I encourage everybody to investigate the plants, ask them, and an invitation to wonder, are humans perhaps more important than plants? Are we on the same level? Like who, So there's a question, are humans more important than plants and the animals and the water and the trees? Can we live in harmony? How can we live in harmony with each other? And a thought to think of too. So what is the place of humans on this beautiful earth? And to think of and to contemplate the thought of death in a natural cycle, and what place that death has. And it's a very natural part of being human. So to think about that. And there's many plants to help us nourish our spirits and to work with us in those questions. So I want to leave you with those questions.
Those are very powerful questions. Very powerful questions. and it's a wonderful place to close it and leave that space for everyone to just pause, slow down, and feel into that. And yes, I want to thank you so much for being here and having shared all your wisdom with us. It's been amazing. And for everyone watching, oh, and when I stop the recording, don't go away so I can then say goodbye to you properly. And to everyone listening, I am going to push the links to get in contact with Julie and her work, and to follow her on Instagram, where you are quite active, and there's wonderful pictures, wonderful content, beautiful wisdom being shared there very often. So you can get in contact with her that way. Yeah, so thank you for watching. Thank you for listening, and stay tuned for the next episode. Yeah, and we're going to see you soon. Bye, everyone. Thanks for watching this video. If you enjoyed, feel free to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more. Join our growing international sisterhood at Free to Be a Goddess on Facebook. Join a tribe of women free to be their beautiful, wild and sacred selves, safe and supported. Find the link in the description.